Hi, Pam Washington here from Build My Cleaning Business. So today I have an interesting training for you. I get a lot of questions about quality control and customer service, and typically what I find is that this is something that people address sort of after the fact. You know, I had this problem with quality control, or a poor job was done, or I had this complaint, how do I handle it? And so one of the things that I want to mention is that I think where we go wrong as cleaning business owners is that we should be focusing on quality control and customer service in advance of the problem, you know, or there being a problem. So I have some tips that I'm going to share with you today, and I'm going to sort of make a confession and an apology in advance. I really love this stuff, and so I get a little carried away in my thought process, and so in order to prevent me from going down a rabbit hole, you know, getting really overly invested in one aspect of this, I have some notes here with me. So if you're watching this as a video and you see me referring to the notes, I apologize. I just want to make sure that I keep myself focused. If you're only listening to this as a video, then no harm. I mean, as an audio, no harm, no foul. It won't matter. But I just wanted to let you know my enthusiasm kind of gets the better of me sometimes. So that's why I have my notes here. Okay, so we're going to talk about quality control and customer service, and I have them here on my whiteboard. So the first one that I want to talk a little bit about is quality control. What you want to know about quality control is this: the number one priority for any quality control system is client retention. Okay, that's the whole purpose behind everything that you do with regard to quality control. And I'm going to leave a little space there because later I'm going to go and talk about that a little bit more. So specifically, what you want to do is, the way that you retain clients is that you want to be proactive with regard to quality control. You want to proactively prevent either complaints or service failures. A service failure is where you have a no-show, no-call. That's the worst thing that can happen. Okay, and then the third thing that you want to do is that once you have some sort of a complaint or you know, a service failure, then, so let's say this is called if it happens, or let's call this when it happens. Okay, so number 3 here is going to be when it happens. Okay, and so there are basically some things that you can do to kind of mitigate against how badly that can damage you. The first one is to thank them for bringing it to your attention, because they didn't have to do that. They could have just fired you and that would have been the end of it. So you want to keep in mind that when your customer makes a complaint or brings a problem to your attention, they're actually doing you a favor. It's very difficult for most people to complain or to make a request. So you want to thank them for doing that. The other thing that you want to do is apologize. You know, don't deny that it happened. Don't be defensive. Don't make excuses. Apologize for the fact that it has happened. That's part A. Part B is that you want to repair it as quickly as possible. Okay, now that may sound obvious, but you know, it's important that you get this done quickly so that they can move on from the pain of the problem without, you know, thinking about it and it continuing to be a problem. And then this final point here is really critical. C is that it's not enough to just fix the problem. After you fix it, you need to go above and beyond. Okay, so we're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a second. But now I want to switch over to customer service. I'll draw a little line right here. And I want to talk about, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to stay over here with quality control and just finish this. So one of the things that I said was really important in client retention, I'm gonna switch to a different color ink here for those of you that are watching this as a video, just to see if I can make this a little bit more eye-catching for you. So on client retention, one of the main ways that you do that is that you make sure that you manage expectations right from the very beginning of the relationship. You manage expectations by having a written scope of work. That way, you're sure that what you said and what they heard are the same, that there hasn't been some sort of a miscommunication about what, you know, they thought was going to happen or was going to be done. The second key component here, we'll call this one number 2, is to make, Number 2 is to make sure that that scope is shared with your cleaners. Okay? Because it's all fine and well for you to know what you agreed to, but if you don't share that with the cleaners, there's very likely to be a disconnect. So the way that you do that is with a checklist. It can be either a written checklist if you like to be old school, or it can be electronic if you're more modern. There are a couple of platforms here. We use something called Docs2Go. There's also a company called Swept that has a beautiful platform for getting that done. Then you want to use this same checklist that you created for inspection, for quality control inspections, okay? And you need to set up some sort of an inspection process that would be based on 2 things. It should be based on the frequency with which you clean the facility, and also based on the ongoing scores. So if scores are poor, then you need to check it more frequently until you can get the scores up. And if scores are fine and you don't inspect and you don't clean it all that often, then you can, you know, so people sometimes say to me, well, how often should I inspect? Well, there's not like a flat number that I can give you because it depends on how often you service it. So generally you want a ratio of not less than 10 to 1, you know, so 1 inspection for every 10 service visits. And if you've been having complaints or issues, either the customer's hard to please or your client or your cleaner is performing poorly, you may have a ratio as low as 2 to 1. It just really depends on, you know, the frequency and also, you know, how things are going with that account. And then here under number 3, where we were talking about how to handle, you know, when you have a complaint, when there's a problem. So remember I said the first thing that you do is you thank and apologize. Well, I want to go a step further, and I want to say that I want you to make it as easy as you possibly can for your clients to complain / make a request, okay? And the way that you can make it easy is you can have things like a communication log. And again, that can be a written or it can be an electronic thing. There are tons of platforms out there that allow you to have dynamic communication logs with your clients in real time. You can also ask for ratings or referrals. Ratings or reviews. Okay, so this way, if you have clients who are, you know, kind of passive, or it's hard for them to, you know, be assertive about what they want, this is an easy way for them to let you know if there's a problem. Then remember I said here that you needed to repair ASAP. So in order to make that happen specifically, you need to have processes in place for redos already set up so that you can get that redo done ASAP. And then it's also important that you prevent repeat complaint, especially on the same thing. That drives people crazy. So you do that by coaching and retraining, you know, as needed. And then you can even follow up with coaching and retraining, because you're going to, the way that you really prevent these kinds of things is by having proper job descriptions in place, by having performance reviews periodically so that people, your cleaners, know how they're doing what's expected of them and how they're, how are they meeting expectations. And then also that you have some sort of positive and negative reinforcement, built into your HR processes. Or if you work with contractors, that's fine too. But there needs to be, a clear understanding of what the expectations are and how it's going. And then here for the final thing where I said that you should go above and beyond, the thing that I want you to think about here is that I want you to have ways that you can go the extra mile. Okay, so one of the things that I think is great when you're going the extra mile is some sort of a freebie. Something, an extra thing that you give them. But here's the key. Whenever you give a freebie, you always want to get brownie points for that freebie. And people don't appreciate what you don't show them. So one of the things that I always do is when I do free things for people or give them a service at a discounted rate, I mark it on my invoice and then I discount it. And I say, courtesy discount, so they see that I did something for them. Because if you don't bring it to their attention, you're just doing it and they're thinking, that you just do these things for them. They don't really appreciate the fact that you got a freebie. You don't really get your brownie points, and these things that you're doing for free actually become things that they expect. And so it's important that you show them the things that you're doing to make it all better. Now I'm going to switch over to the other side of the board, and we're going to talk about customer service a little bit. So the priority with your customer service, the number one priority, you remember we started with number one priority for quality control. The number one priority again for quality control was client retention. The number one priority for customer service is that you want to deepen the bond that you have with your client, so that you can build and retain loyalty and even create raving fans, so that you can survive complaints or service failures, and also so that you can promote referrals and that you can cross-sell and upsell. Okay, so these are the priorities for your customer service program. And so the way that you do that, there are a few things. The first thing that you want to focus on are random acts of kindness and appreciation. Okay, I'm not going to tell you how to do that in your business because everybody has their own unique selling proposition, but it's important that you do at least one of those on a regular basis. I might recommend that you have some sort of a celebration with them at least once a year, some sort of a customer appreciation day. Again, whenever so this one goes here. Random acts of kindness and appreciation, celebrating with them, goes with building and retaining loyalty. The way that you survive complaints and service failures, we kind of talked about it, but I'm going to stress it again. Not only do you apologize, but you thank them, and then this is what I call kiss the boo-boo. Kiss the boo-boo and make it all better, okay? And then the final thing that's important here for your referrals and cross-selling is that you need to create systems. You must have a system to ask for referrals. You cannot just plan to do it on an ad hoc basis. It won't happen, you'll forget. And then the final point is to train your team on how to cross-sell and upsell your products and services. And that's customer service. Customer service went much more quickly than quality control, but that's it for this training. Okay, so that's all for now. There is actually one thing that I forgot to mention, which is we're going to cover these in some detail on the upcoming webinar. I have a live training that's going to be happening this coming Wednesday, December 7th. If you're already registered for it, this was just sort of a preview in a little bit more detail of some of the stuff that we're going to cover. So this was sort of a teaser to make sure that you attend the event. If you are not registered for the event, make sure that you do so. There should be a link somewhere on this page or where you access this information so that you can get registered for that webinar. But make sure that you do that. It's a free training, and at the end of it I'm going to have a special bonus for people that attend live and that stay to the end. So now that really is all for now. I'll see you next time.